Well, apparently Nintendo remembered that it's October, cause, trick or treat. Hello and welcome, friendos. This is Ronman, and let's get into this whole expansion pack thingy that is just driving everybody wild, myself included. Now, to stick with the trick or treat analogy, and I will because I like it and it's spooky and we're going with it. It's not all trick, right? Playing a bunch of Nintendo 64 games at what I assume is 480p, like the Virtual Console version to be, and to be able to play 4-player online with a controller that replicates the entire experience of playing 64, but wirelessly, like, that doesn't sound too bad at face value, right? And to have Genesis games on top of that, while kind of weird, because Sega's been putting them on everything they possibly can, you can just open up your phone now and play any Genesis game you like and connect a Bluetooth controller to it, you'll be fine. It's still nice to see them there, to still have them for people who have yet to play them, to have an easy access to some bona fide classics that maybe a kid never thought to play until they found out that they had this Switch Online service. Those things are genuine treats. I was really excited when Nintendo announced them in the last Direct. However, I did have an abundance of caution surrounding the fact that they left the price out. You know why they left the price out. Look at that Nintendo Direct. It had Bayonetta 3. It had the rumblings of Sora's eventual reveal. It had an announcement for a new Animal Crossing expansion. It had freaking Chocobo Racer GP, the GOAT. This was a very, very good Direct, and they weren't about to muddy it up with some $30 price increase to an online service that no one really likes but bought into because they took it away from being free into an at least $20 to play Splatoon with your friends service. They knew exactly what was up, and they're still trying to paint it as a deal now with Animal Crossing DLC included, but yeah, the messaging is not coming across. $50 for individual, $80 for a family plan. Freaking insane. When the Switch Online service was first announced, the difference between an individual and a family plan was really a no-brainer if you had some friends. $10 more and you can split it amongst 8 people? Like, yeah, of course I'll do that. Why wouldn't I do that? I have friends, arguably. That's what I've been doing since the service launched, and I've been pretty happy with it. For about $4 a person, it's really not bad to have access to Nintendo games at all times like that you can play online with others in a pretty convenient fashion. Don't have to fire up an emulator and figure out the netplay situation and all this other stuff. There is a lot of value in that. But man, this time around Nintendo just decided $30 no matter what you're on. At least for the US. We can bring up the value or non-value of the Animal Crossing DLC being attached. And that in itself is an interesting discussion, believe it or not. Does it mean that Nintendo's going to include more DLC with its expansion pass down the road? More DLC, more downloadable games, something akin to the 99 series? Is that a good name for them? Tetris 99? Mario 35? No, it can't be 99 then, can it? More stuff like that would definitely increase the value tenfold. Can you imagine that even if you had DLC that was on the late side, something like including all previous fighters for Smash Bros. Ultimate, so those that have waited to, I don't know, get an Ultimate version, an Ultimate Diamond Plus edition, so they can have all the characters in one package without having to pay along the way. If they bought an expansion pass like that, they could just have all the fighters and be raring to go with all their friends. They could explore the meta of Banjo-Kazooie's Golden Feathers. That kind of thing would be a pretty darn cool value that, as far as I can tell, you can split amongst people in the family plan. Everyone will get access to this Animal Crossing DLC. That could be insanely cool. But Nintendo is the king of not communicating any of this to us. As much as I hate the term roadmap, Nintendo, you gotta give us an idea of what we're getting in the future. That we at least know that this isn't it. Nintendo's not some online content creator that can just drop a video whenever they like. They should give you an idea of what sort of games are coming down the pike for this service that you're subscribing to, in some cases monthly. I imagine very few cases monthly, but the option's there. We've got to know that you're going to keep the hits coming. I mean, if I had known months ahead of time that I could get my Jelly Boy fix a couple months ago... But getting back to the general value, I suppose I would like to check out the Animal Crossing DLC, but I'm a pretty casual Animal Crossing player. I never had to complete any catalogs, so that may not be worth it to me. Maybe Nintendo just looks at the Animal Crossing sales and assumes it'll be worth it to everybody on the planet. And reportedly, the price in the UK is only about $15 more-ish. The question is, why can't we get that if we want to? Nintendo's greatest strength and greatest weakness is that they don't really pay attention to their competition. Yes, arguably they're offering something like Xbox Live or PlayStation Network, but both of those services offer games each month that are much more recent than a 30-year-old Nintendo game. These games are cases where you can't easily emulate them on any potato computer lying around. Nintendo has done their best to lawyer their way right into getting ROMs banned from the internet. But you'd think at some point, somebody at Nintendo HQ has to observe that it's not that hard to emulate some games. That there are a lot of aftermarket products that do just this, and that they're competing with those. That they hold a monopoly on the IPs but not the access to the ROMs. And at that point, you have to wonder why they are making it so hard to share bona fide classics with a new generation. Even Disney, albeit through their own streaming service, has made it easy to just boot up Beauty and the Beast or Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs whenever you gosh darn want for a monthly subscription fee. There are gaps here and there, mostly for big nerds like me that would love to have them put all their old cartoons in chronological order, but overall, the convenience is there. I'm not sure why Nintendo with its own properties does not want people to experience Legend of Zelda, the Ocarina of Time conveniently. I have much longer and more detailed thoughts about games and their preservation as an art form and how we can't really expect companies to do that for us. But you have to wonder where the thought is in all of this. Does it just boil down to people will pay it anyway? So let's go for it? Maybe the rights to Winback were really expensive. You know, here's my mild theory. Nintendo's not only successful right now, but spiteful. They saw and destroyed all the ROM sites. They saw that people were emulating Metroid Dread on Yuzu. They held off on announcing the price till just now, and decided that these sons of guns deserve it. No easy access to classics for you. Daddy Nintendo gets his cut, or else. Anywho, is this whole thing worth it to me? As somebody that has part of their career tied up in playing and paying attention to video games, and already has a family plan established, I might be willing to give it a go for 1 year, if only to test it out, maybe play the games I care about, see how the service goes. But I'll be honest, I think I'd feel dirty doing it, even at the comparative bargain of $10 a head. It does feel pretty wrong. I guess what I'd say for myself to Nintendo is I'll do it, but I get to emulate any gosh darn game I want. A raw deal for a raw deal. Anyway, it's not often I get into hot takes like this, but I'm curious what you guys have to say, so please chatter below, comment, like, and subscribe. And from here on, I'm more interested in keeping the content as positive as possible. Thanks for making it to the end of the video here, and I'll catch you in the next one.